In this episode, we're talking about how the rubber hits the road. How do you stop spinning your wheels and grabbing traction? Traction is when his eyes saw this and went, I get it. Jeff Buck is the greatest builder in Idaho, if not the state, if not the country. Phenomenal. And that was the look on his face.
That's what it's all about. That was all about. It's fantastic. We want to hear a little bit about you. I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
I've been a long time Jeeper.
Yep.
I've come to see you. You've taken care of me and my family for almost 20 years.
Yeah, it has been.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But we want to hear a little bit about you. Again, the episode this time is getting traction in business and in life. We have a lot of people that are small business owners.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how it's been for you, the business, the struggles, successes.
Wow. Where do you start? Just to give you a little backstory, this Bucks was started by my parents in 1966, so we're 54 years old this year. I worked in it as a kid all the way up till I was like 23, and then decided I couldn't work for my dad anymore. We butted heads, so I went off and did my own thing. I came back when I was 30, in 2000, and nothing had really changed. It was still a really small business. Supporting 3 families now, my brother and sister, and my parents. And so I asked my dad, at that time I'd made some money to work different jobs and put some money away. And so I asked my dad, hey, can I come back to work? He's like, yeah. If you know what it's like working for my dad, he came off of a dairy farm in Emmett. So I got $125 a week.
It's good money.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I came back to work. And I got a $25 raise when I married my wife. I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I kind of told my brother and sister, I said, look, we have to do something. And it took 2 years to get my dad kind of out of the business.
But let me interrupt for a second, because Tommy, you currently work with your dad. You just said something that it's hard to work with my dad.
Yeah.
I've heard that from father to son in businesses. Was there a transition that you knew that you had to tell Dad, Dad, I'm the boss now?
Yeah, that came to a head because he was still coming in and controlling the money, not allowing us to do anything. So we weren't able to fix up our trucks and bring in new inventory. He was basically on a retired status at that point. It got a little ugly there for a little bit.
Did that ever happen with you and your dad? Like, how do you make those? Because in this episode, we're talking about the rubber hits the road. And how do you go from spinning your wheels to really gaining traction? And I've heard this from not just you. I've touched on it with you superficially. But when those transition legacies go from one to another, there is a point where to get traction, you have to have friction. Did you go through that as well?
Yeah, we at some point we got to have my dad on here. He's an incredible guy. The hardest working human being I've ever been around my whole life. I mean, I didn't need to be, I didn't need to be told how to work because I just saw it.
Yeah.
Every day of my life. It was a visual example. He is a symbol of hard work in my life.
Yeah.
But with him, it's been different. I just try to keep up with his work ethic. And we've been working together now for 15 years in our company.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what we do. You're getting traction. We have good, healthy arguments a lot. We go at each other, and then his personality, my personality, you're just right back at work.
Okay.
And so it's a little different for me, and I can't survive without it.
Yeah.
My dad's got so much experience. He's a wealth of wisdom in our industry. That guy, I think of the day when he says he's going to retire, I don't know what I'm going to do. So probably a little bit different. I can't take those reins from him.
But still, you had a different perspective because you can't take those reins, but you stay in different swim lanes.
Yeah,
with you,
exactly
there was a crossroad.
Yeah.
Same swim lane.
Yes, stay in swim lane. And I think that might be something that I would say, I didn't have a father that I worked with, but learning swim lanes, Crossroads would probably be the one, because when you got the old school with that running the Thor hammer, and you got the young buck, at that time, young buck, how did that?
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Right, yeah. I saw what you did there.
You like that? That was good.
I like that.
How did that? And I'm at like, how did that? Like, dude, that those are tough ones. I have people that have third, fourth generation.
Yeah.
How do you mend those fences, or are they even broke?
Our family was pretty tight, so it wasn't broke, but he was definitely pissed.
Yeah.
So it took him a couple of years to get over it. But once he got over it, then he started seeing the changes that we were making, in the type of shop, the type of clientele, the customers, that kind of stuff. I came back with a whole different view after being out in the world for a while. And once he saw that we were really progressing and then it was starting to do something, kind of relaxed. And then it was, when I had issues, then I would go back and talk to him.
Yeah.
And say, hey, what about this? This is, and he would be like, well, I never ran into that, but this is how I would do it.
That's, to me, that is brilliance. In boxing, we'll say respect the jab. When there's some dude that used to be ultimate and really tough and really good, but he's past his prime, and if you stepped inside of his jab, you were showing him, I don't respect you. So in boxing, the young Turks would destroy the dudes that didn't respect the older guy's jab. By asking those questions and saying, hey, I've shown you that I can stand on my own, but I still value you. I think that's another important quality to grab traction in your business, and looking at it from a different perspective and judging outcomes, not processes. For me, anyways, looking at Dad, look at my outcomes.
Yeah.
Don't look at my processes.
He had to be tremendously proud of you.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you probably had a business that then started thriving and going different directions and you never thought it would go.
Yeah.
I know you got much more retail.
He didn't understand or realize the potential it had.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was just going after different clientele.
Yes.
They used to discount everything and not build on belief in the products and what they were selling. And I remember one time with my brother, when it kind of started, I brought in, back then there was PA lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I brought them in, but those were almost $300 a pair. And we had this huge discussion. He's like, you will never sell a pair of those. So I ordered in 5 sets of PA lights. And he was pissed about it, And he ordered in a case of cheap lights. Right? A whole case. 24. And he made a pyramid out of it, and he put a sign on them. And they were like, they were under like $40, $50 for the light. All 5 of mine flew off the shelf within a week.
Mm-hmm.
He sat there. We finally had to discount them out after a couple of months. And I started ordering PA lights by the case.
Wow.
When you gave the customer that choice, they went that direction. And so we started shifting our inventory that direction to where we got to where we're doing, we would have superchargers on the floor. We would have, we'd show the higher end stuff because that ultimately was our customer. The customer we were getting away from was the guys that were installing it themselves, doing it in the backyard, ordering it off the internet. We were looking more for, the business guy, the lawyer, the doctor, wanted it done, and wanted it done with real parts and done right.
I hear that as I hear the planes fly over and everybody yelling and screaming because of all the hype of SEMA. But one of the things that I'm also hearing from you is, I tell the clientele that I deal with, if you start to compete in price and you drop your price here, then they drop their price, you can only go to 0.
Right.
But compete in value and value proposition, then it doesn't matter. They'll dictate price based off of the value that you represent. You started representing and have in Idaho represented value time in and time again. That's why we're sitting here at SEMA today, because of the value, not because of the price. I guarantee when he looked at this truck today, he wasn't going, how much did it cost? He was going, that's mine. And it's my baby.
And you know what? He hasn't asked me yet.
Why do you have to put that on the podcast? My dang wife's going to listen to it. Thanks, you guys.
The value just keeps going up.
We didn't tell you how much we're charging for the podcast yet either.